North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has delivered his New Year policy speech. Relations with the South were among the top priorities. Tensions between the two sides have been high over the past year, and on Thursday, Pyongyang's top negotiator for inter-Korean relations was killed in a car crash. Kim blamed the South for the breakdown in ties, but called for more work towards reunification.
We should push forward the fatherland's reunification movement more vigorously this year, with the slogan "Beat off a challenge from anti-unification forces, both at home and abroad, and open up a new era of independent reunification."
Well, Robert Kelly is an associate professor at Pusan National University in South Korea and joins us now. Robert, thank you very much for your time. What then are the prospects for improved relations between North and South Korea in 2016?
This year will probably be slow. South Korea has legislative elections in April, and that means for at least the next 4 or 5 months, things will be frozen until the political pecking order is clear, who's rising, who's falling, things like that. There's also a presidential election in 2017, which will also make it harder for the president to make any sort of individual actions on North Korea, to take any chances. I mean, things are just up in the air for the next 18 months.
And how is the death of this high-ranking North Korean official, this negotiator, is that going to have any impact whatsoever?
Well, it might have if the negotiations that had taken place earlier in this month, earlier in December, had actually gone through, and they really didn't. They actually collapsed a couple of weeks ago. I don't really anticipate that the North and the South are going to have any major negotiations soon. I mean, it does matter in the sense that the South Koreans knew this man. They had worked with him before. He had a reputation as a relative deal maker and moderate. But unless the North and the South are actually sitting at the table, it doesn't matter that much. And quite honestly, I just don't think it's going to happen, not for a while, not till after elections.
What role is China playing in any form of the peace process, as limited as it may be at the moment?
Well, China has a lot of leverage over North Korea, or at least that's what many people in the analyst community believe. China helps ensure that North Korea can feed its own people. A lot of North Korea's imports come through China, including a great deal of smuggling and illicit stuff. And so often we think that China has a lot of leverage over the North to actually sort of push them into these negotiations. A lot of people believe that the Chinese are trying to get the North Koreans to back off on the nuclear program, right? But it's really hard to know, right? I mean, because North Korea is kind of shrouded in mystery, so it's hard for us to know exactly where the levers are. But I think that China has a great deal of power, because without the export hole that China provides in the sort of the sanctions around North Korea couldn't get anything from the outside world.
You say that North Korea is shrouded in mystery. Obviously, getting access is extremely difficult. But do we know what's being done, what state the country is in internally, the living standards of North Korean people?
Well, under the current Kim, things have gotten better. The South Korean central bank does an estimate of North Korean growth every year, and North Korea has been growing reasonably well by its standards under the current Kim Jong-un. Under his father, things were terrible. In the late 1990s, of course, there was a terrible famine where something like 10% of the population died. In the last few years, things seem to have bounced back. The new administration, the new leader, has really emphasized the idea of growth. He did it again in the New Year's Day speech, and this is this is very important, because what they're really trying to avoid is any kind of rebellion from below. I mean, that's what they really don't want, right? Is that bread riots leading into something more substantial. So things are a little better than they were before, but nothing like a modern economy.
Okay, Robert Kelly, thank you very much for your insight.